I'm Jamie Metzel. I'm with Dov Baron on his incredible Curiosity Bites podcast, where we're exploring the big issues, not just around the current coronavirus crisis. I know a lot of people are afraid, and we're going to talk about some very practical steps people can do, but also about the bigger issues. This is one of those defining moments in our lives. And how can we all think about being our best selves so that 50 years from now, when we tell the story of today to our grandkids, we can do so knowing that we inspired ourselves, we drove ourselves to do the right thing, because we are going to get through this terrible, difficult time. And we're going to have to start rebuilding a new and, we hope, better world that is going to come in the aftermath of what we're experiencing. Now's the time we can start building it, when we must start building it. And I hope you'll join our conversation about how we can all be part of that process.
Welcome back. This episode of Curiosity Bites is brought to you in part by the Dragon's Lair Mastermind. Yep, this is my Dov Baron's personal mastermind. I've built an elite group of leaders for the Dragon's Lair. And if you had great levels of success in your life and you're hungry to get to that next level, and you're committed to having amazing impact in the world, then you're not going to find that in some online course or in a book. It's about really connecting with other leaders who are committed to that level of making a difference. Then reach out to me and let's have you apply. You can only do that by writing to Dov, D-O-V, at dovbaron.com. Dov at dovbaron.com if you'd like to apply to be part of the Dragon's Lair Mastermind. All right, we are back with my very special guest, Jamie. This guy is, as we've talked about, he is an author of nonfiction and fiction. He has been part of the World Health Organization. He's been involved in geopolitics. He's a superstar on CNN these days. He's the man that everybody's calling out to, wanting to know what's going on and how we're going to cope with this. And we've been talking about coronavirus, what it is, what it isn't, the implications of it, the way the world is going to change, the way we have to change. And we talked about the misunderstandings here and the disinformation and misinformation. When you look at all of those things and looking at them on a personal level, you've talked about if this grows at the rate at which is somewhat expected, that it's very likely that all of us will know someone who was directly impacted by this. What do you think that means for us? I mean, because we're talking about you can't bury people now. I was reading recently.
Yeah.
In Spain.
Still, we don't know whether it's going to be worst case scenario or best case scenario, but it's going to touch all of our lives. It's going to change all of our lives. Lots of people die all the time for all sorts of reasons, but not with this level of focus, not with this level of seeming interconnectivity, which is, I guess that's what a virus, we talk about information going viral.
Yep.
The metaphor comes from somewhere. It shows that we're connected as hosts. But it's going to be very, very personal for people, not because people are going to get sick. When people get sick, just in that we did a 1-minute break from our last segment to now. My girlfriend just got her COVID test back in that 1-minute break, and it came back negative. And so for 10 days, she's been coughing and has had a slight fever. And we've been doing kind of a semi-isolation, just being extra careful. And that's been emotionally hard for her. She's kind of felt like a leper or something like that. And I kept saying, it's not personal. It's just, we need to be safe and careful. And so it's just, this stuff is just really, really personal, and people are going to be afraid, and people are afraid. And if they think somebody has it, they're going to back away from that person. And we need to find a way of staying emotionally connected. We talked about isolation. I think a lot of people are going to feel not just afraid, but afraid and isolated, and not able to do the things that traditionally have given them comfort, like going to church. I spoke with a friend of mine, a single friend in another city, and she's home with her dog, but she used to love to go to concerts. Like that was her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And now she can't go. And I said, well, yeah, but you can do it virtually, watch Yo-Yo Ma playing his cello. It's like, yeah, but.
Yeah.
And so this is very personal for people, and it should be. But we have to remember, and you and I spoke about that in the very, very beginning of this interview, that that's not the whole story of life. We are humans with this full range of our humanity, which includes joy and fear and art and all of it. And even if we're home, we have to really strive to realize the express and the full range of our humanity.
Can you tell us a little bit, because you just hit the grassroots there, which is, your girlfriend had the cough, had the fever.
Yeah.
That would naturally bring, in this point in time, the potential fear of, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
And now she just got her results back, which is wonderful, because they're positive, they're negative, but positive for her. What was that like, to be in proximity with somebody who's, this is not it's not nebulous, it's very subjective.
Yeah. It was really hard because in the beginning, when she started to have these symptoms, and we're so hyper vigilant on these symptoms, I thought, well, just given what's going around, there's a chance that this is this coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so I made a decision that we're living together in this apartment, that it was just it's like, when you live with somebody, you're pooling your risk for all sorts of things.
Yeah. Every day.
And that it wasn't feasible or desirable to have her just living in the guest room, and like, I'll leave food there and dig a little, cut a little hole in the door, and you kind of reach your hand out like it's prison. But having said that, it was sensitive because I felt that there's like an obligation on the other person, for the other person to be like super vigilant. And we had just I talked about our differences where I was kind of going into kind of do mode, and she was saying, well, this is like a time where we need to come together personally. And both of us were right. I was saying, all right, we need to kind of clean every surface and whatever. And in the beginning, she was just kind of a little more lax. And that kind of, even though I felt like, well, I'm here by choice, it kind of made me a little bit angry. And she felt, well, why are you being angry? Why are you being resentful of me for, like, based on the possibility that I've been infected with this virus? So there was no right or wrong, but it was a negotiation. And I think maybe that's the point. We're all negotiating everything.
But you just brought home something that's so vital to understand, is how quickly we other.
Yeah.
How quickly we other. We other the people over there. I spent time in Iran, and I came back and I wrote a 12-part article about the 12 myths about Iran, because I felt a social responsibility as a speaker, as a traveler, to say, it's not what you think, and here's what you need to know, and here's where you're wrong, and to bring people together, and because we other, and once we other something, it's no longer human, and we can't afford to do that in our own homes with somebody who has a cough.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
Nature out of preservation.
So true. So you mentioned my CNN.com editorial that came out a few days ago, and it's the response to it has been incredible. So it's just the two of us here in this apartment. So everything that I'm writing, and I'm just kind of on this feverish pitch of putting things out, I read to her aloud. And when I got to the point that I had said before about how, be present in your home, be emotionally available to the people who are physically right in front of you, solve your problems, my girlfriend got like really pissed off because it's like, oh, you're this wise man giving all this shamanic advice to the rest of the world. And I don't know if we can use foul language, like I'm fucking here in this apartment and you're not seeing me, you're not connecting emotionally
Sure.
because you're on war footing. And she was totally right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, like even those of us aspiring to be our best,
Yes.
like we have to recognize that everything is balancing. And frankly, if you're 2 people in an apartment or 5 people in a house, those are kind of the new parameters of your world. Those are the boundaries of your country, and things are going to have to be renegotiated. And so we have to know who we are, but we maybe have to have a little bit of flexibility about who we can be, because just again, our social space is being reconstituted.
Yeah. I think that this is really in so many ways a reset, a reevaluation and a reset. And I know human beings don't like change much. We're not very good at change. We live in a constant state of change and we resist it all the way. I said to one of my clients years ago, we had a session, like a few hours together, and this person said to me, "Oh my God, I am so exhausted from looking at these emotional things." And I said, "You're not exhausted from looking at the emotional things." And they said, "Yeah, I am." I said, "No, you're not." They go, "What do you think I'm exhausted from?" I said, "Your resistance to them."
Mm.
That's what exhausts us. It's our own resistance to change. It's our resistance to confronting what we need to confront,
Yeah.
because we're all want it to be easy and natural and whatever that means. And just, but the truth of the matter is that we are in a moment of dramatic change in everything we do in the world. My work, I'm a speaker. I also work privately one-on-one, and a lot of my clients are global. And even that, we do it like this over Zoom. But even that is, people are saying, "Well, I have to cancel my appointment." Why? Where are you going? You got an appointment you got to go to? I don't think so. Why? Well, I'm just trying to, because they're in panic. They're in freaking out mode. And it's like, the truth I've said to leaders for years is the self-knowledge, self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and emotional maturity are the new bottom line. And I don't know that it's more true ever than right in this moment that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. And that's why these kinds of conversations are so important, that whatever our perspective, none of us have the answers solely within us. We are social beings. And so we need to be sharing. We need to be, and we have these amazing new tools, whether it's podcasts or video streaming or all of it. And we have to use it to share knowledge. And the other thing I tell people is, there was a time when those of us with whatever skills we had thought, well, it's kind of a nice thing to monetize those skills, because then you get to live your life as you like it. And like, I do a lot of, I did until last week, a lot of paid speaking, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's a great thing to do. And now it's all kind of gone away. But what I've told everyone is, like, now's not the time to, we have to survive, not to monetize this. If you have something to give it away free, wholeheartedly. I mean, yes, keep businesses going and things like that, but we'll figure out the finances of life when this passes. Like, if you have something to give, and you can give it away, and it's not going to kill you, and you're not going to starve, give it freely to someone who may really need it. And I just think that this is kind of one of those moments where just everything is being reconstituted, and we'll figure out how to do the money thing later. But if we don't figure out how to do the emotional thing now, we'll come through this with much more scar tissue than we have to.
Yeah, it's fascinating. My industry, in the world of leadership, how many, and I'm inspired by it, how many of my peers and I have come together. And, you know, for years I've said, I don't believe in competition. I don't believe it exists. Because even if you do exactly the same as me, you'll never deliver it the way I deliver it, vice versa. And it's really interesting to see that I'm seeing that show up now. So many of us who are coming together, you know, who are not getting the $25,000 for your gig speech, who are saying, let's come together and let's give it all away. Let's just, you know, I'm part of a 2-day training, which would normally be in a big city. We'd all be on the stages and talking from a big audience. And we're just going to, no, we'll have 10,000 people online and you'll have leaders speaking. A very good friend of mine, Jim Bouchard, who's another leadership guy, again, quote, officially competition, a really great friend. And we're just saying, okay, how can we support people in inspiring them to lead others? And I think that's where we've got to come to. Yep. We've got to find the humanity.
Absolutely.
You know, Jamie, I can't tell you how grateful I am for you to be here. I wanted to talk all about this book, Hacking Darwin, and maybe as things calm down at some point in time, whenever that may be, I know they'll never be quote unquote normal again, but when there's a little more semblance of stability, I would love to have you back and talk about all of these things, because
it would be my pleasure, because we're going to get through this, and all the big issues that we had before, we're still going to have, and we're going to have new ones. And everybody, we started, maybe we can end with this issue of curiosity. We now have time, and we now have time to learn and to learn new things and explore. And we have the world of ideas, the internet. Everybody has a universal library at home. You don't have to go to Alexandria to get the greatest library in the history of humanity. You have it at home. So yes, this is painful. Yes, it's difficult for everybody, but let's find the little blessings in this difficult time.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. And I'm so grateful that you took the time to be with us, and I'm honored by it, and I'm deeply grateful for it. It is a bracha. Thank you. It is a blessing to us. And we want to make sure that people we're going to get this out there. We're actually going to do this as a special episode and push it out much ahead of time, because we want people to have this insight into this. If there's one final message you want to leave people with in the context of what we've been talking about, that's something really practical that they can grasp.
So I'll do some impractical, or not impractical, the big picture and the little picture.
Sure.
One is, we're going to get through this. We've been through worse. We're going to get there. Don't panic. Keep your head. Be the most magnanimous version of yourself that you can safely be. That doesn't mean go door to door handing out muffins, but in your way, do it. And then practically, what I would say is that you have all kinds of listeners of different backgrounds, and everybody is saying this, but I want to say it too. Your being careful doesn't just protect you, it protects everybody else. So please, in this time, please don't take risks, because the risks, very young people taking risks, the payout, the consequences can be elsewhere. So just be safe, be careful, and be smart.
Absolutely. Jamie, before we go, please tell everyone where they can find out more about you and all your books and all.
Wonderful. Yeah. So I have my personal website, www. I guess only old people apparently say www. So it's jamiemetzel.com, JAMIEMETZL.com. There's the book website, hackingdarwin.com, on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and it's just my name, all one word. And I always enjoy hearing from people. As I mentioned, the paperback version of Hacking Darwin's coming out on April 7th. It has a full reader's guide. And so I hope that people just at home will use the book as a conversation starter to learn new things and discuss what I think are going to be really the biggest issues facing our species over the coming years.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read. I highly guarantee it. It's just like you will be fascinated by it. It's wonderful, and we will come back and have that conversation. Jamie Metzel, it has been an honor. Thank you, sir. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you for being with us. I hope you'll stay with us to the end when I sign out. But for now, I just want to say to you, dear listener, stay curious, my friends. Stay curious about how you can create a community while still being in social isolation by loving and caring and giving this time that we're in right now two things: curiosity about yourself and about others and the intimacy that it can come to, and also to be curious about how you can serve the world from where you are. That's vitally important. You're here for much greater things than you were ever imagined. You are a dragon. So breathe your fire onto the lies and warm the world. I'm out.